Good evening, students. Today let us discuss about midbrain and hindbrain. Midbrain is situated below the forebrain and is basically comprises of corpora quadrigemina and cerebral peduncles. They are significantly small in comparison to that of forebrain. Corpora quadrigemina. The upper or superior surface of the midbrain possesses two pairs of rounded protrusions. They are collectively known as corpora quadrigemina. One pair is called superior colliculi, as you can see in this diagram. They are situated below the thalamus and at the posterior part of the midbrain. The pair which is superior are called superior colliculi, and those which are present just below the superior colliculi are known as inferior colliculi. Superior colliculi receive sensory impulses from the eyes and muscles of the head and control visual reflexes. Examples: they control and coordinate the movement of the head and eyes to fix and focus on an object. The inferior colliculi receive sensory impulses from the ears and the muscles of the head and control auditory reflexes such as the movement of the head to locate and detect the source of sounds. They are generally made up of group of nerve cells. We can say that gray matter literally remains scattered in the white matter. The corpora quadrigemina basically connects the forebrain and the hindbrain. Cerebral peduncles. So cerebral peduncles, these are the two stalks that attach the cerebrum to the brain stem. They are the two heavy fibrous tracts or bundles of fibers which lie on the lower or inferior surface of the midbrain. Next, the hindbrain. The hindbrain comprises of cerebellum, pons varolii, and medulla oblongata. The cerebellum is the second largest part of the brain, which lies below the posterior part of the cerebral hemisphere. This is the cerebral hemisphere and this is the posterior part, and just below the posterior part lies the cerebellum. Cerebellum consists of two cerebral hemisphere and central worm-shaped part, the vermis. The cerebellum is solid and possesses a branching tree-like core. Here we can see here branching tree-like core of white matter called arbora vitae, that it means tree of life, surrounded by a sheet of grey matter. The cerebral cortex, which is greatly folded. In the center, it possesses large flask-shaped Purkinje cells, which rank among the most complex of all neurons. Cerebellum controls the rapid muscular activities such as typing, running, even talking. Next, pons varolii. It lies in front of the cerebellum, below the midbrain and above the medulla oblongata. It consists mainly of nerve fibers which form a bridge between the two cerebellar hemispheres and fibers which pass through the medulla oblongata and higher brain centers. Pons varolii relays impulses between the medulla oblongata and more superior part of the brain, between the cerebellar hemispheres and between the cerebrum and cerebellum. It contains centers that work with those of medulla oblongata to regulate respiratory rate. Next, just below the pons varolii, we can see the medulla oblongata is present. The medulla oblongata is the posterior most part of the brain that connects the spinal cord and the various parts of the brain. Its shape is like a pyramid, extends from the pons varolii above, and it is continuous with the spinal cord below. The medulla oblongata has a very thin, non-vascular fold structure on its lower side called the posterior choroid plexus. Medulla oblongata receives and integrates signals from spinal cord and sends resulting signals to the cerebellum and thalamus. The medulla contains vital centers as cardiac, respiratory, and vasoconstrictor that controls complex activities such as heart rate, blood pressure, breathing, swallowing, salivation, vomiting, sneezing, and coughing. The midbrain pons varolii, diencephalon, and medulla oblongata are collectively called the brain stem, connecting the forebrain and the spinal cord. A diffuse network of nerve cell bodies and nerve tracts extends through the brainstem. It is called reticular activating system. It screens sensory information so that only certain impulses reach the cerebrum. Thank you.